Hello, dear viewers, and thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of our program, The International Sphere. Today, we are here at the South Sudan Embassy here in Tanzania, and of course, we are privileged to be on the set together with the Deputy Ambassador, Deputy Head of Mission here in the Embassy of the Republic of South Sudan, Ambassador William Wani Ruben. My guest, please welcome here on the set, and thank you very much for your time talking to us on this special topic that we are discussing concerning your take on the general election here in Tanzania that is to take place, the general election trend.
Thank you to TBC. It is a great honor to have you in the embassy, especially at this exciting moment. It's exciting not only to Tanzanians, but it's also exciting to us in the region, and particularly to South Sudan. Certainly, you will agree, a complete successful elections in Tanzania means a lot, not only to Tanzania, but to South Sudan as well, as we will talk about later.
Mm-hmm. As we are talking about the general elections to take place here in Tanzania, now talking of the state of democracy, Mr. Ambassador, what is your opinion about the stance of democracy here in the country, talking about Tanzania itself? How do we implement democracy? To what extent democracy is being implemented in the country?
The quick answer to that is the implementation of democracy in Tanzania is excellent, but I will have not done enough justice to explain why I have chosen the word excellent. Mm-hmm. Allow me to use a simple definition from a dictionary, I think is Merriam-Webster dictionary. Defines democracy as the rule by the people, especially when majority is voted in to rule, and when periodic elections are held in this particular country, then that defines what democracy is. So based on this simple democracy, which I'm sure is smart, that is, we can use it to judge whether the word excellent fits in, then one says, yes, Tanzania for several years now, at an interval of 5 years each, has been holding general elections. I'm sure also local elections on periodic terms, and successive administrations have come in. So by using the definition I used, then Tanzania qualifies to have its democracy really in best practice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, as we are heading, the Tanzanians now, they are heading for the general elections in 28th October this month. What is your take now concerning the ongoing campaigns that have been going throughout the country? You have been in a position to observe, Mr. Ambassador, while you have been here in the country.
Campaigns are campaigns, and this is the optimal moment for those wishing to come to government to campaign. They will use all sorts of ways, whether by media, whether by actual going out to talk, these days through the social media. And mind you, with my observation in the last 2 years that I've been here, you may have not realized, but the rural electrification, people may have not realized, but by electrifying the villages, people are able to get connected to the national media outlet, whether TBC, ITV, Clouds, and others. So they get informed of the campaign trail. I'm also aware that, as I said, campaign is a campaign. It is like a marathon. all get on one line, a whistle is blown, all set to go, and along the way, there will be others who naturally will drop out, others will push on a little bit, but at the end, out of 1,000 in the marathon, definitely 1 or 2 will make it. So it is a campaign, and it is exciting, and I just wish Tanzanians complete the marathon peacefully.
In your own opinion, Mr. Ambassador here, do you think now the government of Tanzania is having a free and fair treatment to all political parties?
Yes. I say this on 2 main accounts. I've had an opportunity, I think 20 years back, before I became a deputy ambassador. I was here, a private, simple individual here who happened to be in the country when elections were conducted, 20 years back. And compared to now, with different inputs into the election campaign, I consider there is a fair playground in the campaign exercise. So also, as I said, by comparison, take other neighboring countries, not to mention any, but you will see, because I have also lived in my country, South Sudan, of which we are hoping to get to the first general election in 2022. I've also lived in Uganda, I've lived in Kenya. So using this second, I will also still come back to the point of saying there is fair playground in the campaign that is going on.
Great. Now let's look at the Legal Human Rights Center that has financially paralyzed in recent days, and it went to a point of stopping its operations. What is your take on that, Mr. Ambassador? I
am not fully or completely aware of that. I may have a totally wrong answer. I'm afraid not to proceed answering that question, because unless I equipped myself, because some aspects within the human rights, if mixed now with financial matters, one will need to dig out what brings the two together. There must be some problem that has caused this hiccup. But if it was purely human rights matters, then that would be dealt differently.
Talking about now the campaigns that have been going on within the country, talking of the opposition party now, the presidential candidate from the party, the main party of course on the opposition part, Chadema, that had been suspended for campaigning. Do you think that now the Electoral Commission is fair enough in doing so, or how do you see the Electoral Commission here in Tanzania by doing so? How can you assess it then?
Again, the reasons for why a political party is suspended, it is not out of the blue. I'm sure the Electoral Commission is made out of intellectuals, judges, renowned professionals. They must have reasons for why they have suspended one political party.
Yes.
It's not another form of campaign to suspend it, not to proceed, but something legal is missing somewhere to make it being suspended. So one best way of responding to that question, the Electoral Commission of Tanzania is in the best position to first say why they suspended this, and if they tell to the Tanzanians, then the Tanzanians will judge whether they were biased in suspending this, or they were not biased. I'm sure Tanzanians are now more exposed, more educated in knowing things as they move. Unlike 20 years back, they must be following it, and I'm sure a responsible person somewhere in the commission must have explained why the action was taken. So at this point, again, I will just be a normal opinion teller, of which opinion may not matter much.
Okay, your country here, your government, of course, through the embassy here in Tanzania, is also working very closely with the Tanzanian government. Now, to that point, Mr. Ambassador, what is your country doing now to make sure that Tanzania adheres to principles of democracy and human rights? Meaning, emphasizing on that.
First of all, South Sudan has on the ground a team of 2 experts under the umbrella of the East African Community Observation Group. That in itself signifies how interested South Sudan is in these elections. They are going through the requirements on how they will conduct their observation exercise. But broadly, South Sudan definitely has an interest in these elections. It's not a matter of Tanzanians alone, because a stable Tanzania will, of course, a stable Tanzania, it has been stable, and that is why we, the Embassy of the Republic of South Sudan, is here. We are 2 years and a half old. And this is because of the stability, because of good relations between the government of South Sudan and Tanzania, and because of the East African community of which we are members, and definitely Tanzania played a key role in making sure we became members and in time. So we have an interest in these elections.
Okay, and again, what are your expectations now concerning the Tanzanian leaders within the government in running the country after the elections now? What do you foresee, Mr. Ambassador?
I foresee a continuation of stability. I would be very surprised and very disappointed to see that after all these years of progress, stability, and Tanzania being a hub of making other countries reconcile, I'll be disappointed to see it falls into a cliff. So I foresee a progressive government moving on, and seeing that happen, certainly also will be able to address other things, meaning that a progressive Tanzania is equally a progressive region. Recently we have heard the interconnection of the standard railway gateway to Burundi, Rwanda, and then the pipeline from Ohima to Tanga. We are not bystanders. We are also keenly seeing that when this pipeline is connected, what is the interest of South Sudan in that route. And not only that, we have issues to do with the port of Dar es Salaam. So with a stable, progressive government in Tanzania, we will then be exploring our opportunities to use the port of Dar es Salaam, which is very strategic, very important. It can act as an alternative port to goods to and from South Sudan. And definitely with the progressive government already people are talking of the need to trade. We in South Sudan look forward to make sure there is big volumes of trade. Currently there is, but not that much. But with good progressive government that will be coming, that will be inaugurated, I think, in November, we definitely and quickly will move in to see that those pending expectations are brought out on the table, and we see how we move on. Not only that, mind you, we are looking forward to make sure Kiswahili is introduced in the curricula of South Sudan. Both sides will benefit. We will need experts from your end to take us through at all levels, whether primary or any, but fundamentally, we have an interest to make sure Kiswahili is also introduced in South Sudan.
Leaving aside the issue of the draconian law that is talking about the press freedom within countries, now talking about the freedom of press here in the country, Mr. Ambassador, you have been here ever since the inauguration of all the political parties' campaigns. And how do you see now the media coverage towards the time of campaigns to head to general elections within the country here in Tanzania?
You will recall I told you I was here 20 years back.
Yes.
And if you too were active then, you will agree with me that by that time, the media outlets were so few. I do recall that was when things like ITV were coming up to life. Clouds were not there. I don't know, East African television was not there. Now they are there. And not only the TV, newspapers are also there. And lately, the so-called the social media. So everything is so exposed that however much you say there are draconian laws restricting the media, I don't seem to get it well comparing the time and where Tanzania came from. So by comparison, there is great development, great or more freedom of expression, not necessarily using one media outlet. There are many others that a Tanzanian will be able to get the news in any different form. So someone may criticize me, but I stand to defend my case because of my experience that there is now more freedom of information getting out than in the past. A simple other example, 20 years back, I happened to be in villages like Chilulumo, Mbozi down there, where newspapers of today read in Dar es Salaam can be read a week later down there. But these days, with good road network, the same newspaper can be read more or less the following day, because with a bus it takes 1 day and a half to get to Tunduma and then to Chilulumo and many others. So someone will definitely argue that no, there is oppression in freedom of expression and the rest, but I for one will not buy that idea based on what I've just explained to you.
Mr. Ambassador, again, how could you acknowledge concerning the security organs in steering and maintaining peace and security within the country, especially during this period of time, during the time of heading to elections?
Again, experience is the best teacher. Take any 10 elections back. How have the security organs conducted their role?
Yes.
If they ever fail then my answer would be different. But so far, going back again, I by and large, there's been some good law and order, especially when it comes to these peak moments of the country. In some,
like the time we have now, yeah.
In some countries, it creates anxiety, fear, and uncertainties. But I think in a country like this, the creation is excitement, especially for those new voters who would want to exercise their voting rights. Excitement to those who will be newly elected into the parliament, because I hear, I've not confirmed, I hear in the primaries, the incumbents, a good number of the incumbents are put aside, new blood, new energy is coming up. So there is a creation of excitement in the country and not fear. See, there is a big difference. If there is fear, the end results might be that things will end up badly. But if there is an excitement, people look forward to have this happen, because then new opportunities come up and new plans, promises are now implemented, and many others. So I see excitement and not fear in these upcoming elections.
Now, still we're talking about the general elections in Tanzania. Now we have people, the so-called, the international observers, but also generally observers for elections. Now, are you satisfied with the, you must have, of course, been following up, seeing how the government has put this into place. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Ambassador, concerning the way, the arrangement of these observers that has been kept already by the government? Are you satisfied with that?
So far, yes, because 8 months back, embassies were informed of the processes through which international or observers, for that matter, would be coming to observe the elections. Forget about the coronavirus, which people have feared that it may or may not make the country proceed, but thank God, with proper leadership, the coronavirus is under control. Again, talking of observers, genuine observers coming to see the conduct of elections, the processes, the procedures are laid down clearly. Unfortunately, for those who may have failed to meet the criteria for this, meet this criteria for observers, and not only that, there are those international observers who come in with their own interests. With due respect to all of them, but there is where the conflict of interest come in that if an international observer finally finds that what he is looking for is not there, someone will simply raise up a flag for some reason that the other will see it not being a valid reason. But now it becomes difficult to pinpoint interests from international observers and purely observers who have good interest or good intention to come and oversee and really make their valid comments. Mind you, I'm sure you'll agree with me, in many elections, the use of the term free and fair is used. Whether you are in the Western world, whether you are in Africa, because human beings are not perfect, you will never get free and excellent, but always free and fair, because you accept the human errors involved. But by and large, elections, if they are conducted in a free and fair way, it will be seen. Just to give you an example, if between you, Agnes, and me, we were to be voted in, and I get only 2 votes, you get 9. So 2 and 8 out of 10. If I start complaining that no, this election was not free and fair because I got 2, morally I will not be correct, but certainly politically I will make all the noise possible, even to the international community, that the elections were not free and fair, simply because I have not played my cards well, probably.
Mr. Ambassador, I have a very specific question that how can you compare the relationship between your government and the current government here in Tanzania compared to past governments within the country?
This is an outcome of good relations between Tanzania and the Republic of South Sudan. This embassy is barely 3 years now in existence. It is not possible to talk about the past so much, but very briefly, because the late former president Benjamin William Mkapa played a very important role in the peace-making in Sudan and South Sudan. Very, very great man. He did a big job, and unfortunately, he just has gone away so fast when the dust is settling down in South Sudan. The relations, as I said, still very good. Recently, this government offered this embassy 5 acres of land in Dodoma to construct our embassy. If the relations were not good, I think the government would say, these guys, let them wait a little bit. But not only that, going back to history, very briefly, our founding father, Dr. John Garang, studied in the University of Dar es Salaam, where he got the inspiration for leadership. So one will easily connect that Tanzania is like a grandfather, grandmother that nurtured a number of leaders, including ours.
Very briefly, we are concluding our interview together with you here. Anything to share with us?
My wish and prayer and advice to the Tanzanians, I'm sure they know it, that let them conclude these elections peacefully, because should anything go wrong, in most cases and with many examples in different countries, the reverse gear to get you back from that mess will not be desirable.
Well, dear viewers, we have come to the end of our program, the special edition of our program, The International Sphere. Just remember, today I've been talking to Ambassador William Wani Ruben, who is the Deputy Head of Mission here at the Embassy of the Republic of South Sudan. And of course, we have been discussing concerning the trend of the general elections here in Tanzania towards the 28th of October, come the time for people to vote. From me, your host, Agnes Tuniga, thank you very much for being with us. Till next time, it's goodbye.